Coming up, I get a new old trench knife, a camp axe from your recommendations, and we're going to take a look at my T.Kell Knives collection so far. I'm Bob DeMarco. This is the Knife Junkie podcast.
Welcome to the Knife Junkie podcast, your weekly dose of knife news and information about knives and knife collecting. Here's your host, Bob the Knife Junkie DeMarco.
Welcome back to the show. It's great to be back from our holiday break. My favorite comment from this past week, and I've been reading them all and answering them all. I've been slack of late, and now I'm back on track with the comments. So very happy to be back with you all in the comment section. But this one comes from John Bowles 508 on the T.Kell Knives Agent 001, my collaboration design with T.Kell Knives. He says, love the pancake sheath holes on both sides. Better mounting options. And I'll put in paren here, as compared to the older T.Kell sheaths where there was only mounting options on one side. Love the bird's beak pommel. It will make for quick deployment and solid grip. I would be glad to have such aggressive jimping under my thumb so close to that back edge. This looks perfect for forward or reverse grip. Edge in or out. All styles. Nice job, Bob. Well, thank you, John Bowles. That put wind in my sails, and I don't mean to pump up my own venture here, but man alive, I saw that and made me feel great. But I've been loving all the comments this week and the past couple of weeks. They've been awesome. Thank you so much for watching and taking the time to put your comments in the videos. I really appreciate it. All right. That said, let's get to a pocket check.
What's in his pocket? Let's find out. Here's the Knife Junkie with his pocket check of knives.
All right. In my front right pocket, it's been hard to kick this one out. This is my latest Emerson acquisition. It is the P-Tac. This is the redux of the Persian, a very, very popular and old school design by Ernest Emerson and Emerson Knives. This was a very, very popular and hard to get one for many, many years. I'm so glad they came back with the Persian. They now call it the P-Tac, and that suits me just fine. And I love the size of this thing. It's just a hair over 4 inches in blade length. And I'm not generally a Persian fan, so much of that swept up blade, but I have a few in my collection, including the Talwar by Cold Steel and the Persian by Spyderco. I love both of those knives. So I'm a little picky with, and also the Herman Knives Ishtar. I'm a little bit picky with my Persians, but this is definitely one that passed the test. When I saw it, I jumped on it. Thanks to Scab and Choir Boys Cutlery, he alerted me to this, not personally, but I saw one of his shorts where he mentioned he wanted to see it, wanted to get it, and so I jumped on it. I love this knife. It's been in my pocket for a solid month, with other knives coming in and out, but man, so great to have an Emerson, and this is definitely. I should say a new Emerson. This is definitely on my Emerson no-sell list. I've only gotten rid of one Emerson in the past, one or two Emersons in the past few years, and it ain't going to happen again. So very happy to have that. Another unique blade shape on me today. I have the RoseCraft Blades Ocoee Kayak. I'm not really sure how to pronounce that, but the kayak with that beautiful candy apple bone. So nice. I put that little leather fob on there. I think it looks great, and it also keeps it oriented north to south in my pocket. Just clipped my nails, so it's kind of hard to pull this one out. But I really love the downward blade on this. It's sort of a modified sheep's foot, but it's canted downward at an angle, and it really accelerates the cutting. The ergonomics of this fits perfectly in hand. And if you blew this up, say by 10%, and your entire hand were bracketed by the pommel and the bolster here, it would still fit perfectly. It just so happens it's smaller, and this part of the pommel accommodates my pinky like so. All right, had that in the front left pocket next to my phone. Also on me today, I had the Regiment Blades Low-Viz. I love this thing. This is an Al Salviti design. You saw it kind of, well, I'll be frank, ripped off in the Colonel, but the Regiment Blades Low-Viz is the original, and it is awesome. I love this knife. If you look at Al Salviti's channel, he has sharpened the back edge of his. That swedge is very, very slender, so it would be a pretty easy job and something I might do here in the future. But this is a really comfortable knife to wear in that appendix, excuse me, in that appendix position, because if this is your belt line, it sort of just curves under your belly. And with the holidays, my belly has grown. So it's not sticking straight up and poking into your belly. It rides off to the side. And it's so easy and intuitive to grab. And Al recommends putting the backhand on the back, your empty hand on the back of your live hand as you thrust. And I asked him if that was to get more power, and actually said, no, it's to keep your other hand out of the way, because a lot of times people have, tend to stab themselves. So you put it on the back, you do get extra power, but you also get that live hand out of the way. So interesting philosophy of deployment, and I've been doing that. He also sent a trainer to me to train with. I haven't used that as much. I've actually been using the live blade just to draw. And since I have that back hand there, I'm not so worried. But remember, when doing anything like this, training a draw or something like that, slow is fast, or slow is smooth, smooth is fast, meaning start off slowly and eventually you'll get quick like you want to be. Okay, last on me for emotional support today, my ESK, my emotional support knife was the Primitive Wicket by Knives by Nuge. Such a great little neck knife. I got it from him at Blade Show this past year, and got it just kind of thinking I wanted to get a knife from him, and I love the jute wrap, but this has ended up being one of my favorite knives of the year. One of my favorite knives from last year. I carry it quite a bit, and I put it on and forget it's there until I need it. And oftentimes neck knives aren't like that. Oftentimes you get a neck knife because you think it's cool and you like it, but then you put it on and it's just kind of swinging around and dangling, and maybe it just hangs just a little heavy. Not the case in this one. And I like to say that this one also feels fine next to your naked flesh. I don't need to have a shirt in between my skin and that. Not in the lineup, but I wanted to mention this right here. My Cadet from Victorinox. I was going through some old clothing in my closet. Got to be in my bonnet to purge. And I found my old Cadet in the pocket of a blazer I was getting rid of. An old 90s velvet blazer. And you say, why would you get rid of a velvet blazer? That sounds cool. Well, it was cool, but the cut is so 90s, I just couldn't do it anymore. So it's going off to someone who wants to dress retro. But it was so exciting to find this knife. Since losing it, I got a new one. But now I have two, and it's really cool to have this old one back in pocket. Not having been used in several years, it has lost some of its snap, but I'm going to flush out those back springs with oil, and it'll be back to perfect. So that's what I had on me. Let me know what you had on you. Always love to find that out. It gives me inspiration. It also lets me know what classy ladies and gentlemen we have watching this show. So drop in the comments below what you're carrying, and I'd love to find out. Another thing I'd love is if you go over to Patreon and check out what we have to offer for support. Every month we do a Gentleman Junkie giveaway. Now you're saying, what's a Gentleman Junkie? I'll tell you. That's our top tier of support. We have Gentleman Junkie, we have Tactical Junkie, we have Traditional Junkie, and those are different financial, what do you want to call it, obligations. It's not an obligation. You can do it if you want. And we give away knives on Thursday nights, the third Thursday of every month, to a lucky Gentleman Junkie. So go over there, check out what we have to offer, like interview exclusives, etc. And, well, we'd appreciate it greatly. You can scan the QR code right there on your screen. or you can go to theknifejunkie.com/Patreon. Again, that's theknifejunkie.com/Patreon.
The Shockwave Tactical Torch is your ultimate self-defense companion, featuring a powerful LED bulb that lasts 100,000 hours, a super sharp crenulated bezel, and a built-in stun gun delivering 4.5 million volts. Don't settle for ordinary. Choose the Shockwave Tactical Torch. TheKnifeJunkie.com/Shockwave.
You're listening to the Knife Junkie podcast. And now here's the Knife Junkie with the Knife Life News.
So being January of 2025, if you're not listening to this when this drops, a lot of new knives have been announced, and I'm going to go through some of them pretty quickly. But I just wanted to mention up front the Buck of the Month. Every month, Buck puts out a special version of one of their classic knives. In this case, it's the 110. It's about as classic as it gets for Buck. People say Buck knife, and this is what they think of. But not this iteration. This iteration is something special. So this one has rich light scales, and it's got sort of the appearance of, well, I'll quote Ben Schwartz, of an old book, the spine of an old book, or the inside cover of an old book. It's a tan and black variation, and as it's shaped, you get all of these different patterns emerging from it. It also looks kind of Damascene to me, or marbled. So this is a single or bare head bolster design, so it doesn't have that rear bolster, and you can also see the pin. That's I think what the term bare head actually refers to, but they don't polish the bolster in such a way that it hides that pin. And then as you look towards the back lock, it terminates in that rich light. Rich light? What's rich light again? You ask. Well, rich light is like a paper micarta. Stacked paper compressed under high pressure and heat, and you get a very, very tough and durable handle material. This one is in S35VN. That's another marker of a Buck of the Month. They put a special steel on it. They've been using a lot of, what do you call it, Magna Cut recently. They've gone back to S35VN, but of course with that Pall Boss heat treat, it's going to be killer. They only made 750 of these, so jump on it if you're a Buck fan. They are available now. All right, coming up from CRKT, not a company we mention often, but I've been mentioning them a lot recently because of my recent acquisition of the HZ6, that awesome Japanese-style Williams blade. So they have a number of new knives coming out, and most of them are beautiful collaborations, or many of the top ones that they're really talking about are collaborations. This top one is the Walker blade lock. Michael Walker, the guy who pioneered the liner lock, he lives up in Taos, New Mexico, making masterpieces. Well, this is an older knife that he had with CRKT, and it's being revamped. This with that blade-mounted lock right there on the thumb stud. You can kind of see how the thumb stud has a sort of slot mechanism around it. That is the USP of this particular knife. So excited to see something from Michael Walker. Next, from Brian Tye from up in Canada. Brian Tye, T-I-G-H-E. All of his blade and knife names are takes on the word tie. So this one is the Twist Tie Compact, a beautiful out the front, made by Hogue. This is another thing that CRKT has been doing in the past couple of years. They have been reaching out to companies like Hogue and Tops and others to make some of the knives that they're putting out under their label. So a beautiful out the front here with a carbon fiber chassis and aluminum slide. So it's going to be super duper light. Magna Cut blade, double-edged here at 2.67 inches. So a very cool one. Going down, a classic collaboration from CRKT with Alan Foltz. This is the Minimalist, now with a 3-inch Nessmuk blade. Really cool. And man, it looks very, very useful. Love that recurve. Love that Nessmuk blade shape. This is one that is inspiring me. I might have to get one of these, but I say that every time they come out with a new minimalist. I'm plumb out of minimalists, actually. I tend to give them away. and haven't had one in quite a while. So this might be the next minimalist for me. Now going down, I mentioned Tops before. This is one that's being produced by Tops Knives. It's the Castleoff. It is a very slender and nearly 4-inch bird and trout design in 1095 blade steel, and that sort of, which is a signature steel for Tops Knives, and also signature that tan canvas micarta handle. So very light and slim. This looks to me like it'd make a great out on the town steak knife, but it is a bird and trout, so you can skin your birds and gut your fish with it. You can tell what a huntsman I am. But this one looks cool at 2.4 ounces from Tops Knives. Now going down, another sort of regular collaborator with CRKT, TJ Schwartz. Awesome dude, making really, really cool knives. This is a Kiridashi inspired knife out of D2 steel with that upswept edge and that pointy point right there. Very nice looking thing. So this one is called the Straight. Very good looking knife and very much looks like a TJ Schwartz. Now going down, I mentioned before the HZ6, a knife I've been really into a lot, carrying in my bag, carrying around the house ever since I got it. This is the James Williams HZ4. Obviously, it's a smaller version. Now, it's closer to 5 inches than 4 inches, but they're not calling it the HZ 4.76. Coated SK5 in that very, very traditional Japanese look. The handle that emulates sort of samurai handle with the Tsukamaki wrap and such. And then that very, very traditional pointy and upswept tanto or Quaken blade. Very excited to see this. I think I'm going to be sticking with my 6. It's just perfect, but happy that this will get in the hands of people who want a shorter version of that. Now, moving down, the very, 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 very signature flagship folder model series from CRKT, the M16 series, now has a crossbar lock. So this will be cool to see. This is the Kit Carson brainchild, Kit Carson designed knife that is just, they've made millions of these things over the years. I've had several of them, so I've, as has my wife, and I've given them away as gifts. They come in 3.11 inch, 3.57, and 4-inch models, different blade shapes, etc. It'll be exciting to check this out with a crossbar lock. All right, moving down, another collaboration. The next two actually are from Richard Rogers, a very, very talented knife designer and maker. This top one is interesting. It's another Kiridashi-inspired knife, but this one a small fixed blade version, and here's the USP, all titanium, including the edge. So that'll be an interesting one, and no doubt super, super light. Moving down, the Viento is a cleaver-inspired folder from him, upswept 2.3 inches, and well, D2 blade steel, and an interesting selection. Last up, from a longtime collaborator with CRKT, that's Lucas Burnley, we have the Squid, now with a button lock. I used to have a Squid frame lock, very cool and charming little knife, I gotta say. Whether you drop it in the pocket or clip it to the back, you're gonna like that knife. So excited to see that coming out in G10 and micarta. All right, next up from Benchmade, they have a couple of cool things coming out here. I'll breeze through these because most of them are coming out later in the year, and what we're going to see here are artist renders, if you will. But the first one is the 491 flipper, and it's rare to see a Benchmade flipper with axis lock, but this one will be coming out. Aluminum 2.8 inches of 20 CV steel in that spear point. Look for this one in August. Next, they have a very interesting looking, you can obviously tell that this is an artist render, but this is the 315 slip joint. This will be coming out in October. 2.56 inches of Magna Cut. Now, I'm not sure how this is going to be deployed, if it's like a double detent with a front flipper, because I don't see a nail nick here, but it will be a slip joint, and it will come with a leather clipped slip for the pocket. Again, that one's in October. Moving down from there, this one is sort of a gimme. I can't believe they haven't done this already, but this is the fixed blade version of the bug out. Interesting thing about this one is that it's smaller than its standard model. It'll come with a 2.99 inch blade, and I'm not sure what they're going to go with blade steel wise. Look for this one in September. Now, this is the most exciting to me, pulling the Bedlam out of the archives. They're coming back with a mini Bedlam, 3.45 inches of Persian-shaped S90V. This thing is really cool. I had a Bedlam on long-time loan for a while, and it is an impressive knife. I had the bigger one. It's pretty cool, though. Another Persian I wouldn't mind having in the collection. This one is coming out in March. Now, a little bit of editorializing. I think the handle looks very 2010 to 2012. And I'm talking about the treatment of that double layer G10. The tan and the black I like, but all of the sculpting on it, something about it, it smacks of Shieldin Knives from, I don't know, like 2013 or something like that. Anyway, very cool. And I don't mean to be, that doesn't mean to be a diss. It's just the first impression I got. Moving down, another bug out. They're going to be coming out with a number of bug outs this year, but this is the bolstered bug out. So you have an aluminum bolster there with rich light, beautiful maroon rich light there. This is going to be super light. Expect this one in March. I think this is 2.5 ounces. So it'll be a very light knife, especially for a bolstered one. Coming down from there, we have the mini and the mini barrage and the barrage in rich light. Again, you have that beautiful maroon rich light. I love it. Next to that black blade. Look for that one in S30V in March of 2025. And lastly, the Crooked River, probably my favorite folder from Benchmade. I really regret getting rid of mine. They will be coming out with this one in Magna Cut, and it'll have this really nice looking copper-esque aluminum bolster. The bolster will be aluminum, but that copper shape. Black canvas micarta, looks like a pretty fat weave canvas micarta with the black Magna Cut blade. Look for that one. I'm not even sure when they're going to release that one. I'm not sure if they're sure, but lots of interesting offerings from Benchmade, especially for fans out there who want a deep cut or a new version of a classic knife. Last up, I wanted to talk about this news. This was strange to me, or bittersweet. I don't know. Jen's Anso is leaving GiantMouse, and to me, he's half of GiantMouse, but actually he's 1/3 because we never really think of Jim Worth, who's the CEO, unless there's big news and then you hear his name. But Jen's Anso is leaving GiantMouse, and I'm going to read a couple of things that were said by them. First, from CEO Jim Worth, he says, "We're grateful for everything Jens has brought to GiantMouse over the past 9 years. As we move forward, Jesper and I are focused on shaping the future of GiantMouse, while Jens will be able to dedicate himself fully to Anso of Denmark. We're confident this step will allow both brands to expand in new ways and achieve the unique goals we each hold for our respective visions." Now, if that's not a CEO speaking diplomatically, I don't know what is. And then Anso says himself, "We're proud of what we built together. We can't wait to see what the future holds for both brands. This isn't goodbye. It's simply the next step forward for all of us." Actually, that was Jim Worth also. Anso himself says, "Co-founding GiantMouse with Jim and Jesper and collaborating with Jesper on knife designs has been an amazing experience. I'm very proud of what we built together over the years. GiantMouse has become a brand that represents quality, innovation, and a strong connection with its community. I'm honored to have been part of its journey." So I'm assuming it's an amicable split, but the picture that I've seen that they put up on Knife News, he's walking away with his head hanging. I don't know what that means, or if it's just, to show that we're all sort of bittersweet about it. But yeah, weird news and sad to see Anso go. All right, that's that for knife news. I'm sorry, for Life Knife News. Be sure to check out Knife News. That's where I get a lot of these stories. Ben Schwartz, I always mention him. What a great writer that guy is. He can talk over and over about a thumb disc and make it sound interesting. All right, still to come, we're going to check out the state of the collection. I'm going to show 5 new products off, new to me, that I've gotten that I'm really excited about. But I wanted to remind you that you can like, you can comment, you can subscribe, you can download this show to your favorite podcast app and listen to the show whilst on the go. It is a good thing to do. So you can listen to these golden tones. Maybe they can soothe you when you're in traffic. I know I need something to soothe me. That's for damn sure. All right, coming up, the state of the collection.
Adventure Delivered. Your monthly subscription for hand-picked outdoor, survival, EDC, and other cool gear from our expert team of outdoor professionals. TheKnifeJunkie.com/BattleBox.
And now that we're caught up with Knife Life news, let's hear more of the Knife Junkie podcast.
Be good. Be good. This is the 1917 trench knife that I got from my brother for Christmas. Thank you so much, Vic. This thing, I'm going to set it down so you can see the whole thing. This is just a wicked, wicked blade. And it also rounds out my collection of trench knives. It's a slim collection. I want it to grow and grow, but these have always been my 2 favorite. This 1918 I've always loved, with that knuckle duster, the knuckle, individual holes for each finger. This one is maybe a little more practical, as you can fit a large gloved hand in here. At least I can. I have medium-sized hands that I can sometimes jam in small gloves, so small to medium-sized hands, and so I could wear giant gloves with this. But even you out there with the big meat hooks, you could get your hand in this incredible knife handle here. I love the walnut handle. It is kind of squared off, not squared off. It's rounded here, but it's flat and rectangular, so it's not going to turn in your hand. And then you have this, what I'm assuming is stamped. Maybe it's cast. I'm not sure. Maybe it is cast, actually. Knuckle duster here, D-ring with those pyramids on it. And then this illegal, according to the Geneva Convention, triangular blade, which mythically, it's triangular in cross-section if you're just listening, but mythically, you can't sew up these wounds. That's why it's illegal. Now, I have heard that is poppycock or maybe just mythology, but either way, it just creates a horrible, horrible, nasty hole. Of course, this is not really intended for slicing at all, but I surmise that if you hit someone hard with one of the corners of this blade, you could split something open. But I think the intention of this knife as a thruster with that very stout triangular cross-section is to get through thick leather and wool in a trench fight. So very, very nasty. Also has a really awesome leather and metal sheath here, and hangs on a traditional style belt. This is new old stock, meaning it was never issued. This one was not issued. It's been banging around for over 100 years, though. And now it's in my collection, where it will stay until it is passed on to my girls. All right, next up, I got this fixed blade. I've been really looking forward to this ever since its first release. This is the Steadfast, designed by Cal Richardson. And it's a beautiful combat field knife, combat utility knife. You can just look right at it and know that, though it is a field knife, it's definitely optimized, again, for thrusting and slashing and deep cutting. It is a thinner blade stock than the last version of this, Work Tough Gear Steadfast. Work Tough Gear is a great brand, and I think I'm getting somewhat hooked on them. And luckily, they're hard to get. You have to be kind of Johnny on the spot with their drops, know when they're coming out, pay attention. And you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. That's how I got the V44X Bowie. That's how I got the Steadfast. I watch Choir Boys Cutlery. Scab is always mentioning when they have drops, and the Last Huntsman. I got that's how I got the word on this one. But beautiful long swedge. This is K329. I'm not sure about that steel. I know people love it. I'm not sure why though. I assume it's tough. They put it on a lot of their large outdoor knives. I've got the ivory liners and the black G10, nice grooving in the handle, and just a beautiful design, super ergonomic, and also great in a reverse grip. You get the peaked handle here, where you can tap with the thumb. I just love that blade shape. It reminds me a little bit of the V-Sep, I gotta say, the awesome, legendary Les George folder. One thing about the sheaths, Work Tough Gear sheaths to me are hit or miss. I mean, they all retain beautifully, but it's kind of like the state of Texas here. There's a lot of real estate and a lot of extra on the outsides of the grommets, and they retain almost too well. For me, I really have to push off with the thumb and tug to get it out. So if it's on the belt or in the waistband, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to draw. So I think I will probably either convince my brother to make a leather sheath for this, but probably more likely I will make myself a new Kydex sheath for this that draws a little more easily. Because, you never know when you're going to need to pull it out in a fight. That, of course, is a joke. But here, this is my new Council Tools Hudson Bay pack axe, or camp axe, I mean. This is a hatchet, not the axe. They make a bigger version of this. But this is that very signature Hudson Bay axe shape. So when you see the shape that looks like that with the sort of steeply descending beard in a straight line and a relatively straight top, that's called a Hudson Bay pattern. This one has a nice tail end too that you can use as a hammer pole. Say you're putting in stakes for your tent or something. That'll work well. It's an extended rear end there, and we all like extended rear ends. And then it comes quite sharp, and it's got a really nice finish to it. It looks like it's straight out of the forge. Very nice ash handle here, haft, and it feels great in hand. I have not used this yet, and it won't get much use except around the family fire pit, until this spring, when I resolved to actually go camping. It's been many years. Probably approaching 30 years since I've gone camping. This was a recommendation from one of you out there when I was asking for a nice, light but effective and somewhat short camp hatchet. Made in the USA. This is the Council Tool Hudson Bay Camp Axe. I love this thing. Thank you. My daughter's got this for me for Christmas. Let's see. Next is from Shieldin Knives. Shieldin, I'm going to use my right thumb to flip that open. This is the Rev. Now, Shieldin Knives made this, did a beautiful job in doing so. But what it is a collaboration between Auxiliary Manufacturing. This is an original design from them, a fixed blade custom, and then DC Blades. That's their logo. That's their logo there, but you can also see it says AM in there too, to signify the collaboration with Auxiliary Manufacturing. But DC Blades, Tier 1 Gear Reviews, Justin, and Old Squirrel Knives, that's DC Blades, that group. They came along to Michael Jarvis of Auxiliary Manufacturing, said, "We love the Rev. We think it would make an awesome folder. Can we do so and turn it into a everyday carry folding Pall?" And they said yes, and boom, this is what you got. So it's a three-way collaboration between Auxiliary Manufacturing, DC Blades, and then Shieldon, who manufactured it. This thumb stud they send along, it's like you can either put it on or not. I chose to put it on. I have a difficulty with the front flipping. in general these days, and that detent is quite stout. So for me, the preferred method is the thumb stud there. So, but I can use my forefinger too to flip it open. Only on the right hand though, so I'm not going to try and embarrass myself with the left. Also, a cool little note, you see the signature spine treatment there that you'll see on auxiliary manufacturing. Some auxiliary manufacturing knives. Beautifully done in Ultim and black, and I'm not sure, oh, 14C 28N blade steel. Really, really nice knife. No, 154 CM. My bad. 154 CM. You can see it right there on the flipper tab. All right. Lastly, in new knives, I got the gorgeous Jack Wolf Knives After Hours Jack. This is the second release of the After Hours Jack, which is a larger and locking version of the Midnight Jack. So you have a really compelling machine satined S90V sheep's foot blade with a downward tilting straight edge. So nice. And then you have your 4 different handle options as usual. This time there's a blue jean micarta, like a denim micarta, 2 different carbon fibers, and this is one of them, this really fantastic dark matter red. It is so beautiful next to that blasted and acid bolster there. And then there's also a gorgeous faux tortoise shell. So I just will be releasing, let's see, if you're watching this the day it drops or listening to this the day it drops, I have put out a, on Friday the 17th, when this knife drops, you'll see a close-up video of this on my channel, where I wax poetic about it and show it off with the older version of this and then the other 2 slip joint Midnight Jacks. Gorgeous knife. Thank you, Ben, for sending this to me. My appreciation is infinite. All right. Coming up, we're going to take a look at my collection of T.Kell knives. If you listened this week, dropped an interview with T.Kell where we talk all about bringing manufacturing back to America. Not that it's all left, but bolstering and making more prominent the manufacturing here in the States. A lot of knife designers such as myself, or many of them out there, their one option is to go to China to have their awesome knives manufactured. And I wanted to talk to Tim, who's managed to become quite successful in the States, what it was like making knives here. We're going to get to that in a minute. We'll take a look at the T.Kell knives in a minute. But first, I want to show you this t-shirt that Jim just created. It is so cool. I'm a modern philosopher with a knife. I cut through nonsense like butter. And I got to say, I love it on this maroon fabric here, maroon cotton, but you can get it in a number of different colors and fabrics. Well, not fabrics, just colors. Go to TheKnifeJunkie.com/shop and check out the growing roster of really, really cool t-shirts that Jim has designed. And then there's other stuff like coffee mugs and lots more. Just go to TheKnifeJunkie.com/shop. So if you remember, moments ago, I was talking about T.Kell and how successful he's been in manufacturing knives here. So I want to show off some of my T.Kell knives. One little caveat to what I was saying about bringing manufacturing back here. We do discuss how very difficult and cost prohibitive it is to do folders. It's a different subject. It's a different animal. But we're talking here about fixed blades. So let's check these out. So we'll start with the ringed ones. And this is the first one I ever got from Tim. This is the Guardian. Now, this is not originally a ringed knife. I'll talk about that in just a second. What it is a triple-edged modified sheep's foot, and it is wicked. And you look at that bevel and you're like, what is up with that bevel? It's so shallow and so oblique. Well, this is for nothing but self-defense. This is nothing but self-defense here. You're not cutting the cheese, wrong expression. You're not slicing anything with this. you are stabbing, gouging, tearing, gashing with this. It creates big, nasty holes and horrifying sort of wounds. And I hate to be so on the nose about it, but that's what this is for. Let's just be honest about it. I, of course, have never used it like that, and I am a collector. I don't intend to ever use it like that. But if you're someone whose job sends you into danger, this could be a very good option. Triple edge here. So starting about 1/3 of the way down that swedge, you can see it's sharp, and then that front, the chisel point is sharp, and then that full edge is sharp. If you have any doubts about the efficacy of this blade, you can see Tim in an older video going to town on several pieces of meat wrapped in saran wrap and then denim, and how grievous this works. Grievously this works. Now the ring, originally this blade or this handle is just follow the purple. That's what the contours of this handle are. But for this knife and this handle platform and several others, Tim offers a sentry grip. That's what he's calling it, a sentry grip. And that's basically you get a ring at the end on very robust G10. So you get the handle here, you get the handle grip shape with a ring integrated into the G10. So you can see when you're looking at it from this dorsal view here, how it comes down and forms the ring, and it's only on one side. And they only make this in green or black or all green G10, because that is the most robust G10 they have. Something about the swirly colored G10s, they are very, very strong, but for this use case, they just prefer to go with the all green or all black for strength's sake. Now, for me and my hands fit well within that ring. Oftentimes, I like a ring as an extended bolster, or not a bolster, a pommel here. But here I find that it's really good for actually gripping and ripping, just pulling it out of the sheath and using it. That's kind of how T.Kell Knives has sort of resuscitated my faith in the ring, because grabbing it, it's so easy to grab it with that ring. Not that I'm doing flippy karambity stuff with this one, but it is a great way to pull the knife out and use it. So this is the Guardian from T.Kell Knives, and there are also smaller versions of this, like the Night Guard, that use that same modified sheep's foot shape with the triple edge. It's just thinner and smaller, and maybe more pocketable, or maybe more easy to carry. All right, next up, now this is the one that really got its hooks in me, and I carried this all the time. This was the inspiration for, one of the inspirations for the Agent 001 design in carry envelope in the size. This is the Nightstalker. Definitely one of their most popular, if not their most popular all-time knife here. And this one is in AEBL. This was the first run they ever did of a stainless steel. He put my logo in there very nicely. Thank you, sir. And this has that gorgeous green and black burl G10. Now, this is the first time I saw this. This is kind of an invention of T.Kell Knives and his G10 distributor, doing it kind of swirly like that in layers, and it creates sort of a burl look to it, and I really love it. Most of my handles are in this style of G10. Again, you can use this without the ring, or it's sized in such a way that you can. I never ever put my pinky through a ring, but I always put my forefinger in the ring, and this is I carry this oriented on my belt with a DCC horizontal clip, used often for holsters of gun holsters. I have it like this, so I can pull it out with my forefinger and have it initially in this defensive reverse grip. If you need to change it around, you just change it around, for normal cutting, which is what I almost always do. But I practice drawing it using the ring. This is the Nightstalker, and a relative, I'll show you here, is the MR1. Now, the MR1 in the sheath looks almost exactly the same. Was a request from a Marine unit out west, California, I believe, who wanted a Pall style knife with a ring, and they went through a number of different designs, and then Tim had the eureka moment where he looked at the Nightstalker and realized if he sharpened it on the other edge, it would make for a great Pall. And I got to say, he's absolutely right about that. You get that outward point orientation that you want in a Pall, and you want that because I'm going to go to this camera here. When you punch with this, or if you use a back fist with this, it puts the tip where you want to go without having to kind of tweak your wrist to get it in the place. So you look at it down the line here, you can see the tip, instead of being here, is forward, and bam, it puts it right where you want it. Being a Pall knife, that means its primary use is tip down and edge in, taking advantage of that caveman motion that happens when you're full of adrenaline and just trying to defend yourself. Frequently, I have heard, anyway, I haven't had this personal experience, but talked to a lot of different people, and apparently when you're flooded with adrenaline and trying to defend yourself with a knife or even with your fists, oftentimes you go back to the most basic motions. That's why I love a hammer fist when I'm practicing empty hand or training empty hand. It's very, very intuitive, and the Pall style knife takes advantage of that. This one, again, in that swirly burl style grip, this is their what do they call this? Gray man style grip. The gray man is the man who blends into the background, so no one knows that he can kick ass. No one knows that he's a survivalist. He's just a gray man. He looks like everyone else. He doesn't carry a tactical backpack. He carries just a regular backpack. So anyway, the gray man. However, I have heard that if you're being followed and you the people following you are most likely looking for a gray man, so you should always carry some sort of a fluorescent, some bright orange hat or a bright yellow windbreaker, and then throw that on once you've evaded their glance for a minute, and you might just walk right by them. And I heard that from the CIA guy that I follow, whose name I always forget, but he's an awesome dude on YouTube. So I don't know that from my own experience, but if you're walking around like a gray man, make sure you have something that's the opposite that you can throw on you if you're being followed. We're not looking for a guy in a bright orange hat. We're looking for a dude with a beard, a gray beard. All right, I just want to say that you can, if you like T.Kell Knives, we have an affiliate link that we just got from T.Kell Knives. You can go to TheKnifeJunkie.com/T.Kell. That's the pretty link, and order knives that way. And if you use the coupon code Bob DeMarco, all caps, all one word, you can save 10% on your purchase. So that works for everybody. It works for T.Kell Knives because they get an order. It works for me because it's an affiliate link, and it works for you because you get 10% off using the coupon code Bob DeMarco. So thought I'd throw that in there if you're interested, because these are my favorites. I love these knives. My favorite custom production knives out there. So definitely check it out if you're interested. Next up is a ringed knife. This is the last of my ringed knives. This one, a collaboration with the great and powerful Jared Neve of Neve's Knives. This is the very cool FLN. This is a karambit, as you can see, and a really nicely done karambit. Now this is from the first run, and in the first run, this was offered like this, single edge, double edge, where this back swedge was sharpened, and ringless, so like this. And then you could buy Sentry grip to put on there to make it ringed if you wanted to switch back and forth. So very, very interesting. On the second run, there are going to be some changes that I don't think I can mention, but if you're a gentleman junkie on the extra interview extras, he mentions it. But I think I have to keep this under my hat until it comes out. But there are some changes that seem cosmetic, but are very practical in helping the sheath retain better. This was one little issue with this. I had to tweak the sheath to make it retain better. Karambit sheaths are just a pain in the butt, I think, because the opening has to be super wide to accommodate the curve, and then it's difficult to make it retain real well. But T.Kell Knives is known for their sheaths, how they just pop off with the thumb, and so they have worked on it and have a solution, and I've seen it, and it looks great, and it looks like it's going to work great, and there's going to be a change to the blade geometry, and you're going to love it. You're going to love it. God, my hands look so dry from this view. But anyway, a great karambit. I'm hot and cold with karambits, especially folding karambits. But this one I absolutely love. The ring is in the perfect place. I can make a totally solid fist without having to alter my grip at all. And I'm not going to do it on screen, but it flips really, really nicely. If you're a karambit flipper, you don't have to be. You don't even have to carry a karambit or use a karambit in its traditional reverse grip. You could hold this thing like this, and it would be a most wicked self-defense knife, like a punch dagger, similar to the Regiment, where you can just push forward without having to reorient your wrist, or as a slasher. It's a wicked hawkbill set at a really, really advantageous angle to your fist. So this FLN, of course, with the purple grips. I love purple. It's such a beautiful color. Purple and maroon, I guess, are my favorite handle colors. But this thing is awesome. And here's Jared's logo, the Knives Knives logo. Very nicely done. All right, out of the rings and into the Combatant. Now, this is the Combatant. This is the first iteration of the Combatant, which is just a great, great small EDC fixed blade. But as the name implies, you could also press it into a tactical purpose here. This is the first one. You see that sharp ground swedge there coming to an abrupt end about halfway down the blade. And just a really nice, effective drop point. This is 80 CRV2, which is quite a tough and robust carbon steel. I have it in this sheath with the DCC clip for appendix carry or 3 o'clock in the waistband carry. And then you have the handle. So they work on different handle platforms. So you'll see this handle, for instance, with a number of different blades. I'm going to show you another one here. Or like you saw with the Nightstalker and the MR1, same handle, different blades. And that's what we also see with the Agent series that I collaborated with Tim on. So this one has a great handle. I love it. Part of the main selling proposition, unique selling proposition of T.Kell Knives is the short handle. The short handle and the slender sheath just makes it melt in when you're discreetly carrying this, say, horizontally on your belt. And I love the small handle, I got to say, for my hands. But some people don't like it. He is going to be releasing a handle extension that is very nice. You can see this. I think you can see it on his channel. It's not up on the website yet, but it extends this by about a finger. And much like the Guardian grip, you don't need a new blade tang. It just extends beyond the blade tang and sandwiches at the back. So if that's your thing, you'll be happy to see that. This was very sharp and very, very useful, but there were a couple of things he wanted to change. He wanted to make it a little better for thrusting. So this is the Combatant 2. I don't know if he's calling it the 2, but this is now the Combatant. And there it is. You can see what it looks like next to the original. It has less of a belly. The point is a little lower down, and it's got a long swedge going all the way up to the jimping, which is also new. Same exact handle, and here I have the Grayman burl and the Woodland burl, and this is a little more slender behind the edge too. It's slicier, even though it's got the same blade stock. Look at that. You can see some of the fine finishing there. Some of the chamfering around the guard has changed, has been upgraded. So a true upgrade all around as far as I'm concerned. Not that I don't like this original Combatant. It's got sentimental value too because you put my logo on it. But I do like this new blade shape a bit better. And I also like that it's thinner and slicier. So on the same on the same handle platform, see that? That's how the sheaths work, man. I love that. Is this gorgeous Wharncliffe. This is the Adversary. So same handle, different blade. There's a thumb swale there with nice 4 big jimps that really, your thumb nestles in there. And then you've got that true Wharncliffe, meaning a nonstop slope from the ricasso down to the tip, an uninterrupted slope, I should say. And then again, just like the new Combatant, you've got really nice chamfering and a thinner, slicier blade, and just outstanding. I've been carrying these two all winter season long. I got to say, I've always gone for the DCC clips, but I'm loving for this purpose. I love the clip that it ships with. It's just another sort of holster clip, holds it horizontally on the belt. I just slide my belt buckle over to the first belt loop and clip this over, and it is so it just melts right in. A thin sweater or a chamois shirt or whatever, just a shirt will totally hide and cover this. Again, you could get that extended grip for this when it's available, but I love the small handle because I can get a full, mostly 4-finger grip on it, and it hides very, very easily. So there it is. That's the sort of Combatant family of knives, or the Combatant platform, Adversary, blade, and the updated blade. All right, last and certainly not least in terms of handle platforms is the Agent series. The Agent series started with a sketch, a drawing. It was a drawing, not a sketch, that I drafted. I didn't draw it. I drafted it up and I sent it to Tim Kell. I thought this would be a great T.Kell Knives knife. He loved it. Thought the handle needed some tweaking, and he did amazing tweaking. We kind of went back and forth on the handle, and then he figured out a way to draw the blade. But I'm going to start with the 3. The Agent 003 I just got. He just sent this to me before Christmas, and what a Christmas it was, because look at this, man. Beautiful denim micarta. This is the handle platform here. So this is the handle we came up with together. I sent him something more extreme, bird's beak, and he made it so comfortable with this center swale here, and changing this from a more abrupt curve to a nice swoopy curve, and then adding the glass breaker on the back. Man, it is so good. And I was worried. I was like, I don't know about the glass breaker. Is that going to harass the thumb when you're using the thumb there? Because I wanted jimping there, 3 jimps there and 3 jimps there. And so naturally your thumb is going to go over that. And it does not. It feels just fine. It feels great. By the way, these 3 jimps are for my ladies, my 2 daughters and my wife. And this is for Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit up on top. So that's just my thing there. So this one, the Agent 003, has the Nightstalker blade on it. So our Agent handle, but with the Nightstalker blade. And I absolutely love it. It's a great, great combination. So this one, again, in denim micarta. This is the only micarta I have in a T.Kell knife. Next is the Agent 002. We're going in descending order, as you can tell. And this one has a sort of guardian style blade, a modified Wharncliffe or modified sheep's foot. I guess we'll call it modified sheep's foot with that straight edge and a really, really robust point. This one I was enjoying talking about this summer because I used it for a job we were doing at our pool. My wife is on the pool board, so I had to help install this weird flooring stuff, and it required a lot of sort of impromptu hammering. And I was using the butt of this a lot for hammering these pieces together. They were very stout plastic, and this didn't shatter it. It worked perfectly. But that blade, thick and robust, comes down to a nice point and is very, very sharp and slicey. So I love it with this Wharncliffe or sheep's foot blade on that platform. But the one that started it all, I have two versions. I only need show one, is the Agent 001. This knife was inspired by me by the Loveless sub-hilt fighter, kind of double-edged clip point, long, slender, double-edged clip point, but also sort of a bayonet. I love the bayonet grind where you have room to come up and put your thumb. This is the one that our comment of the week was talking about, that nice jimping there. Even if you have a big, long thumb, you could back it up and bury it in that jimping, and it's not going to slide forward if you have a proper grip. This with that beautiful purple burl handle. This is, just about my favorite carry knife. And I carry it using the Discreet Carry Concepts clip that it rides horizontally this way. So when I grip it, it's in a reverse grip. And then if I need it for regular cutting chores, which I never use this for, I would just turn it in my hand. But really, this knife was designed, and this handle was kind of designed for a reverse grip. You got a great place to put your thumb. You have a great way to snag it with that bird's beak. And then you have that double edge, which you can use to great effect in a pulling or a slashing or a thrusting motion. This does come single edge. You can order it single edge if that is your druthers, or you're required by law in your jurisdiction to have a single edge knife. You can have that. I used to have one. I gave it to my dad for Christmas. So there you have it, the Agent series. And if you're wondering, yes, I have two of them, and I have this one set up for 3 o'clock carry, which goes in the waistband and carries very nicely in that way too. So there they are. Those are the Agent knives that I have. And these are the T.Kell knives that I have. And man, this is not it. I want the Mercenary. That's a larger one, and I want the Sapper so badly. That's also a larger one that he collaborated with Imre Morgenstern on, who's an IDF soldier and an American also, and a combatives instructor. Cool guy. He's been on this show before, so you can check that out. Thank you very much for watching this show and for checking out all the T.Kell knives I have in my collection. Remember, if you want to get one of these knives, there is a bit of a wait because they are custom batches, but each batch he already has the material for. So it's never gonna be like one of those situations where you order a knife and then you don't ever get it. You just have to wait a little bit, but good things are worth waiting for. Use our affiliate link, TheKnifeJunkie.com/T.Kell, and that hooks me up. And then to hook you up, you can put in Bob DeMarco, all caps, one word, in the coupon code section, and that will get you 10% off your purchase. So why not? Check it out. All right, guys, thanks for watching. For Jim working his magic behind the switcher, I'm Bob DeMarco saying, until next time, don't take dull for an answer.
Thanks for listening to the Knife Junkie podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and review at reviewthepodcast.com. For show notes for today's episode, additional resources, and to listen to past episodes, visit our website, TheKnifeJunkie.com. You can also watch our latest videos on YouTube at TheKnifeJunkie.com/YouTube. Check out some great knife photos on TheKnifeJunkie.com/Instagram, and join our Facebook group at TheKnifeJunkie.com/Facebook. And if you have a question or comment, email them to Bob bob@theknifejunkie.com or call our 24/7 listener line at 724-466-4487, and you may hear your comment or question answered on an upcoming episode of the Knife Junkie podcast.